The final score: Stevenage 1, Wrexham nil. Two long journeys down to the southeast, 1 point to show for it, and a lot of tired legs. Frustrating for Wrexham. Nice to get back on home soil, I think, on Saturday. This was a game that was always going to be tight. I mean, we've got the third best defence in the division going into the game. Stevenage had the equal best. In fact, they've only been 11 goals in the 8 games that they'd played previous to this clash. Yeah, things are tight in Broadhall away. And yeah, we started well. Phil Parkinson rotated. Obviously, Max Cleworth was injured and had to miss out. Dan Scarr came in and really showed why we brought him in. I mean, these players have been brought in, as I keep saying, on the summer as upgrades. And Scarr looked like a very, very high quality centre back indeed. And there were other changes as well. Ollie Palmer given a rest, Stephen Fletcher coming in, Elliot Lee given a break as well, James McLean going inside one, and Seb Reven starting at left wing back. And so, yeah, Wrexham refreshing the team around a bit, and George Evans as well came in, of course, the other change to give Andy Cannon a break as he returns from injury. And we started well, I thought. We were getting balls in behind their defence, trying to test them and using the ball well. We made one decent chance when O'Connell, who's gone across to play at right-sided centre-back in Cleworth's absence, played a great ball over the top for Fletcher, who touched it on nicely. Marius racing in one-on-one with the keeper down the right channel. Had to take the shot early because there were defenders pursuing him. Really struck it well, but it skimmed the bar with the keeper struggling to get across to it. Stevenage started putting on pressure, and their midfield were extremely energetic and really causing us problems when it came to us trying to pass the ball out from the back. And then a bit of a thunderbolt, really, a bolt out of the blue, should I say, took the lead in the 10th minute. Thompson getting the ball after we had a couple of chances to clear it down the right side, driving forwards and hitting a fantastic shot past Joss Miyabi, past Arthur Okonkwo. I was, at the time, looking at it, felt maybe Okonkwo could have done better. When I'm side on, obviously. The pitch was very slick because it had been pouring down. In fact, there was a real danger of the game being called off. The referee was in the afternoon and decided it was okay. And he was right. The pitch drained and played very well. But this shot really skidded across the surface very quickly. And having seen the replays, I'm much less likely to be critical of Okonkwo. It was right in the bottom left corner. A terrific strike. And although Okonkwo was really, really frustrated to let it punch in the ground after it had beaten him, to be fair, Thompson's body shape looked like he was going to hit it in the opposite direction, and he pulled it across. He made good contact. The slickness of the pitch made it move very quickly, and I think we have to put it down as just a superb goal. It made a huge impact on the game because we did not recover from it for the rest of the half. It was very reminiscent of those games at Accrington and Salford, where under an organised press we struggled to get the ball out from the back. Evans coming in and to that sitting role with Dobson looking to play box to box, but Evans didn't have a very happy time of it. And as I remarked in commentary, a lot of his best work actually was when he was recovering from an error that he'd made. But we just weren't getting our passing rhythm going. Stevenage were moving the ball quickly. Their front three were eager, putting us under pressure, trying to get round the back, and yeah, they caused major issues. They could have got another goal 4 minutes later. Cross from the right-hand side into the box, and Reid on the turn struck the ball powerfully from about 7 yards out. Great block by O'Connell. The ball flew out to Butler, the left-back, who's hit an absolute screamer, tearing back in, and Okonkwo did ever so well to dive across to his right and push the ball away to safety. The pattern continues. I've got to say, though, for all their domination, and they were dominant, so I'm not pulling back from that, they didn't make many chances. Obviously, they scored the goal, but that's a 25-yarder. They had that double opportunity then, but we dealt with it. And they didn't make all that many chances, considering how completely in control of the game they were. In fact, near the end of the half, Wrexham just started to pick things up a bit. A nice little combination between Revan taking the throw and McLean, who flicked it cleverly back into his path. He pulled it back from Marius. Marius struck it powerfully, but again, well defended. The defender got a good block in. The only other real instance of the first half was a peculiar one, which left Wrexham eventually down to 9 men. It was an attempt by Phillips, the Stevenage midfielder, who was outstanding, to drive forwards. He then tried to draw a foul from Dobson, who lunged in but didn't make contact, and fell onto George Evans. Evans looked in a lot of pain. The ball carried on. Fletcher tried to carry it forwards and was clattered by Phillips. Beg pardon, it wasn't Phillips who fell on Evans. Can't remember who it was. He really took him out off the ball. I'm not saying it was violent in terms of raising hands or anything like that, but he knew exactly what he was doing. So 2 Wrexham players down hurt. The referee stops play. They get treated, go off, and are both made to wait 30 seconds. Ludicrous rule, I think. And during that time, yeah, we're down to 9 men. We managed to hold on okay to it. Thank goodness. They come back on, but in the second minute of added time, Evans has got to go off. Really looked to be struggling. So a real concern. Andy Cannon came on. He slotted in right side of the midfield free, and Dobson went back to that more familiar anchoring role. And we could easily have been 2 down at the break. Roberts feeding the ball down the right, and a lovely move. It's a bit reminiscent of that 1996 European Championship Alan Shearer goal, where they England just pass it against Holland along the box. Phillips helped it on to Reed, who left it go quick, moving it on to King, left channel, in the box, clear sight of goal, and he smashed it over. He should have done better, I think, to be frank. We needed half-time. We were lucky to go in 1 down, and Phil Parkinson clearly reorganised and maybe whipped out a bit of enthusiasm for good measure, and it was a different game in the second half. I mean, let me put it this way. For about 20, 25 minutes of the half, I was really enjoying myself, thinking, we are right back in this. Well, that was pretty much the point where I realised that although we were completely dominant, it was totally different to the first half. We weren't actually making chances. Now, Stevenage, like I said, got a magnificent defence. 5 goals conceded in 9 league games after this. And they defended superbly. I mean, Piergianni and Thompson in the middle, absolutely magnificent. Piergianni, I mean, we've come across his path a few times, but he just defended his penalty area with such excellence. It was magnificent and galling to watch. Barnett kept getting down the flank, beating Butler and ripping in crosses, which had nice shape to them, but they were getting repelled. Wrexham had Dobson dropping off behind the other 2 midfielders, really brought him into the game. He was quiet in the first half and he was trying to dictate terms. Revan was bombing down the other flank and attempting to get service in. But we weren't really able to make chances. In fact, the only chance before we made substitutions in the 65th minute was a long free kick, which Fletcher knocked down and McLean just outside the D, bouncing a bit high on his right foot, couldn't keep his shot down and put it well over the bar. We made the change in the 65th minute. It's an interesting one to think about. Triple change, Mullin, Palmer and Lee. So clearly it was Parkinson saying, okay, I've rested these guys, but now they need to get on the pitch. They replaced Fletcher, McLean and O'Connor. And we switched to that diamond 4-4-2, which Phil Parkinson used to use a lot when we were in the latter stages of games and trying to get an equaliser. Totally get the logic of it. The debate is that we were actually completely on top of the game. So maybe it's a smart move by Parkinson for the simple reason that we're totally on top of it, but we're not breaking them down. So we try something different, which is essentially 3 strikers, isn't it? 2 strikers and then Mullin in the hole behind. But there was a little bit of me thought we could have got those 3 players on then, but leave O'Connor on and put ourselves in a situation where we'd be able to alter a little bit later, perhaps. Let that shape just play out of new players in those positions. And then if that doesn't work out, we can play around with it a touch and O'Connor can step into midfield. I don't know. Anyway, we did lose a little bit of momentum, I think, really. There was our best chance of the second half, but it's the only other one in the second half. Came in the 70th minute. Barnett again whipping a good ball into the far post. Lee got it well about 8 yards out. Got power in his header, but the keeper was able to get across to his right and catch it. And that was kind of it. Stevenage defended magnificently, worked very hard in midfield, broke on us really effectively and well. We were very quick. And yeah, we brought Reven off at 83 minutes left to try Mendy, but we weren't getting anywhere. And yeah, 6 minutes of added time went in no time, and Stevenage had beaten us. Very frustrating. 2 games in a row we haven't scored. Like I said, we need to hopefully reset on Saturday. As for the performances, well, yeah, Okonkwo, fair play. I wasn't sure about the goal, but I've got no problem with it now, really. So he did well, actually. He did well in the air as well when crosses came in. I thought the 3 centre-backs were very, very good. I mean, the first half, we were under all sorts of pressure. But like I said, Stevenage didn't make that many chances. More than us. Please. More than us. But they didn't make that many. I thought that Scar was magnificent on his first league start. And just about, I reckon, man of the match. Dominant in the air. Aggressive. Real monster in the box. I enjoyed him. O'Connor to his left. His passing wasn't that great, but he was solid in the box when tested. And on the right, on the left-hand side, O'Connell was good and brought the ball out well, as Cleworth does. He's not going to surge forwards like Cleworth can, but he is good with the ball at his feet. And again, robust in the penalty area. The wing-backs, McLean linked up quite well with Reven, and Reven was quick, getting up and down as always. He started off really positively. Wildin, the right back, is a very solidly built full back, and Reven was trying to run at him and get at him and was doing well physically against him in the air. But once we conceded, we weren't releasing him as well. In the second half, he made some good runs, but we got a lot more down the right-hand flank. Barnett, I thought, did well. Solid defensively in the first half. Second half, whipped a lot of crosses in, and I'm deferring to Andy Morrell here because I've heard some people saying his crosses were wasteful. But Andy Morrell's commentating with me. He suggested that these were crosses into good areas, but players weren't trying to get across their men, and it was the movement in the box he wasn't very impressed with. And I'm inclined to defer to him on matters in the penalty area. I thought Barnett was doing well. He was really ripping those balls in with shape. And it's a shame we only got one player getting on the end of them. In midfield, you see Evans had a bit of a rough time, if I'm honest. He just didn't... He seemed a bit hurried by the press, and his passing wasn't what we usually see with him. Dobson quiet in the first half, but brought a good level of control in the middle of the pitch in the second as he shifted it around and tried to step up further to create things. McLean had a funny sort of game. There were times when he's linking with Reven when I was thinking, okay, this is our most promising course forwards in the first half. I liked it. But he didn't have the impact he can have on the flank. He didn't get a chance to use his strength as much. And he was one of the players brought off after 65. Up front, Marriott. I mean, fair play to Marriott. I mean, he is a threat. He'll hassle big centre-backs and cause them issues even when it's in the air. He takes difficult balls. Got a couple of good snapshots off. He looked lively. No wonder he got the full 90. I thought he looked good. Fletcher had his moments, especially when he's switching the ball, but he wasn't... well, I think to be fair to him, did we get enough players around him at times? Because he did win a fair few headers, but it didn't quite work out right for him. As for the subs, well, I thought Cannon was very eager down the right-hand side, was lively, and he was bringing Barnett in to play well. I quite enjoyed Cannon's efforts. Mullin playing in the hole behind the strikers was struggling to really get involved. He was dropping off and trying to. Palmer didn't really rough up the centre-backs as you might hope. Like I said, they're 2 very good centre-backs. And then as well, Lee, didn't quite get going, it seemed. He was trying to. He didn't quite get going a couple of times. He took a bit of time deciding what to do, and Stevens would put pressure on him to stop him playing the brief ball forwards. Can't say anything about Mendy. He wasn't on long enough. Frustrating. But, it's a long season. We're second in League One. This is far ahead of where we thought we'd be. So let's just make sure that we organise ourselves. Home game coming up on Saturday and try and take advantage of that. With a final score of Stevenage 1, Wrexham 0, I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC.